You're watching Canadian Muslim News on Muslim Network TV from Toronto, Ontario. I'm Samia Saeed. Welcome to the show. Now, coming up, we have an interview with Brother Yosof Hakimi over British Columbia's upcoming Halal Food Festival. But first, let's take a look at the headlines. Contentious Quebec language law passes with sweeping majority. Debate over Islamophobia and CSIS still ongoing in Canadian court. Survey finds 1 in 4 Canadians do not trust Muslims. Photos offer a rare look into China's alleged abuse of the Uyghurs. And now the details. Quebec's parliament has passed a contested language law by a large margin of 78 to 29. Bill 96 is meant to protect the French language in Quebec. It means, among other things, that newcomers will have to speak French when they deal with any government service within 6 months of arriving in Quebec. Opposition members of the Liberal and Parti Québécois parties voted against the bill. A group of Montreal lawyers plan to challenge the government in court, which may be difficult as the government has invoked the notwithstanding clause to override charter freedoms. The lawyers say they are ready to take the Quebec government all the way to the UN. A lawyer representing Samir Ibadi, a Canadian Security Intelligence Services employee, says his lawsuit alleging discrimination against the service should proceed. CSIS's lawyers want the court to dismiss the case. They say Ibadi should have followed internal mechanisms rather than taking them to court. Justice Henry Brown reserved judgment until a later date. Ibadi's lawyers say CSIS's internal mechanisms cannot be trusted due to its Islamophobia, systemic racism, and harassment. One of them told the federal court yesterday, quote, "CSIS is broken." Ibadi filed his case against CSIS in January 2020, alleging workplace harassment, bullying, and racism. 1 in 4 Canadians do not trust Muslims, reveals new data from a Zabiha Halal survey. The nationwide survey meant to address Islamophobia found that 1 in 3 respondents worried about the number of Muslims immigrating to Canada. 27% think hijab should be banned. However, the survey also found that 81% of respondents believe Canada is an inclusive country in regards to ethnicity, culture, and faith. Zabiha Halal says the results highlight opportunities for more understanding about Canada's Muslims. They hired Leisure to conduct an online survey of just over 1,500 adults in April 2022. A day after China's top diplomat said a visit of the UN's visiting human rights chief would clarify misunderstandings on China's human rights record, a cache of never-before-seen police photos of ethnic Uyghurs have surfaced. A BBC investigation revealed 5,000 photos of China's highly secretive system of mass incarceration in Xinjiang. The cache of photos, says the report, had been gathered by hacking into the digital network of Xinjiang's police force. The images were later sent to the British public broadcaster, which took months to verify them before they were released yesterday. China's envoy to the UK criticized the broadcaster and dismissed the investigation as a disinformation campaign. That's it for the news. Now, after spending nearly 2 years in a pandemic, many people are looking for things to do in the summer. One event that people can attend in British Columbia is the first ever Halal Food Festival. And to speak to us about that today is Brother Yosof Hakimi, the CEO of Digital Egg Incorporation and the organizer of the event. Welcome, Brother Yosof, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam. Brother Yosof, can you start us off by telling me something about the food festival?
Yeah, so as you guys may already know, it is the first ever halal food festival that is coming to Western Canada, actually. Now, a lot of your viewers might be tuning in from Eastern Canada, from Ontario, where you guys have been having festivals like this on an annual basis. Unfortunately, for the people out here in the Western Canada, we have never seen an event like this before. And inshallah, this won't be the last. We are hoping to start this event with a grand scale event, and then hopefully move this on to be an annual event going on.
Mhm. And where did you get the idea to hold an event specific to British Columbia?
So myself, I was actually raised in Ontario. So being born and raised in a city filled with lots of halal diversity and halal options in our community, alhamdulillah, it was something that was very like first nature to me. 7 years ago, I moved actually out here on the west coast of British Columbia, to a city called Surrey, British Columbia, which is in the outskirts of Vancouver. And unfortunately, out here, I noticed that the halal community and halal options were not as accessible as you could see out in Ontario. So, being in the marketing field myself, I work with a lot of restaurants, and a lot of my restaurants and clients are halal based businesses. And one of the things that I really wanted to push for, especially after the pandemic, some of the restrictions were lifted, is to host a halal food festival. And that's pretty much how it originated.
Mhm. What does it mean then for the Muslims in British Columbia to hold or even participate in such an event?
So this is big for the Muslim community out here, 100%, not just for BC, but Western Canada and Canada as a whole. One of the main goals for our event, and one of our missions is to make halal more accessible to our community out here. So by putting a spotlight on halal food, educating the community, putting empowering some of the halal restaurants that we do have, especially since they struggled through COVID,
Mhm.
all the restrictions, the lockdowns, and everything like that. Putting a spotlight on halal food and showing other businesses, the value that comes with, us, making your business halal inclusive. There are lots of perks in businesses, and
Mhm.
lots of a big market for sure. So that's pretty much what we want to do out here.
Mhm. Now, I saw the event was originally scheduled for July 10th, and then it was later changed to June 25th. Why was it changed?
So we had originally marked it for July 10th, which was our plan was to schedule it for the second day of Eid al-Adha. And then unfortunately, I wouldn't say unfortunately, but the way things planned, there was a high likelihood that Eid was actually going to land on July 10th itself. And after serving the community, our followers, and getting feedback from them, we did receive a lot of feedback, alhamdulillah, from them saying that this date was unfortunately very difficult for them to attend,
Mhm.
also for the vendors itself, the staff, and everything like that. So we wanted to make the event more accessible for as many people to come, inshallah. So we have decided to change that date now, which is June 25th, on Saturday at the Surrey Civic Plaza.
Mhm. And you just mentioned the local community. How is the local community of Muslims or their institutions helping towards the event?
So we've got a lot of support, in terms of sponsors, in terms of vendors trying to sign up, in terms of people actually just sharing on social media, and that has been a big support. A lot of people have been asking us, like, Yusuf, how do I help support your event? And it's simple as just sharing on your social media, tagging your friends, and bringing as much buzz and people to this event as possible. Again, this is our first year, so it's pretty much like a pilot year, and our goal is to show that we can be successful at our first event, which is going to be a big thing for us, and gives us hope to host this event on an annual basis as well.
Mhm. Yes, indeed. Social media has a large impact on how we market these events and how we expect a greater turnout. I want to ask about some of the vendors that you have there. Are there any local names or favorites that you can give us?
So we will be having over 30 vendors that will be participating on this. My goal with coming up with this festival was I wanted to make it as diverse as possible when it comes to food. When it comes to food and halal, the first thing people think of is shawarma, of course. That's
Mhm.
something that's very accessible. It's a very popular dish, and it's available everywhere. Unfortunately, there are dishes here and there that aren't as easily accessible in the halal industry. Unfortunately, like from different areas of the world, and that's pretty much what we want hope to bring. So our list of vendors, you can actually find them on Instagram. I won't be giving specific details of what kind of vendors that we will be having. They will be primarily big local names that we have out here in British Columbia. We do
Mhm.
have some representation from Ontario that will be participating as well, which is very exciting for us. And we do have some wild cards, so they are some home-based businesses that will be participating.
That sounds very exciting. Is this festival for food only?
Our primary focus is food for this festival. Outside of food, we do have some activities. We do have some other vendors as well that will be participating. So this will be a Muslim prominent event, 100%. So we have brought vendors that are catering to the Muslim community. However, I do want to say that it is not exclusive to the Muslim community. The event is advertised and also open to all communities to attend. And that's one of our goals with this event. We want to share halal food with other communities. We want to show the benefits, the perks, and educate them on what does halal mean and stuff like that. But in terms of the event agenda, we will have activities such as bouncy castles for kids, face painting. There's going to be exciting photo booths, and there's going to be a couple different vendors out there.
So it truly sounds like a festival. Now, with larger events such as these, there are usually some problems or challenges that arise. And I think that you holding the first event in BC only adds to that. What are some challenges that you faced and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, so one of the biggest challenge that we had was kind of educating some of the restaurants out here on, why you should attend the food festival. We have never seen something like this before. A lot of the restaurants, they've never participated in an outdoor festival. They've never participated in something where, they're getting a lot of traffic in short period of time. And when it comes to this, it's an educational process for us to kind of explain to them, what's needed, what are the requirements, what are the health and safety requirements, and all that sort of stuff that we have to take on and kind of share with these restaurants. So kind of bringing them on board. A lot of them have mentioned that they have staffing issues. So kind of preparing for that. Some of them have mentioned that equipment issues, bringing specific equipment at the facility on site is another issue. So we have been working with them to make sure that we can make it easier for them to participate in events like this, and hopefully they can participate every single year. So that's been one of the difficulties and challenges we've had. Besides that, COVID is another thing. Of course, it's still iffy. There's so much what ifs, buts, and you never know what's going to happen. Alhamdulillah, our restrictions have just been lifted a couple months ago, but we still have that in the back of our heads. Like, what if there's a new variant? What if lockdowns come back again? So these are all things that are in the back of our heads, and inshallah, fingers crossed. We hope that it runs smoothly.
And that sounds great. And unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today's interview. Thank you so much, Brother Yosof, for joining us and telling us about BC's first Halal Food Festival. Sounds like it'll be a great time.
Thank you so much for having me.
You were watching Canadian Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. That's it from our Toronto studios tonight. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more Canadian Muslim content. Stay safe, and until next time.